Okay, greetings. Now, I've just been looking over our show notes for this evening, and I see women who are actually men, babies that are actually dolls, and heartbreaking stories that are going to be called out as a lie. It must be another Bobzee live stream. I welcome you to join us for the 9th Bobzee Hour, where we're going to take a level-headed look at the insane world of mainstream media. Once you peel away the undeserved trust that it's gifted to them. I invite you to share anything you have come across that you think worthy of investigation, and we will be getting started in less than a minute. I'm going to start by saying hello to Midnight Scribbler in the live chat, plus Jeff Gashead, two regular contributors to the live chat, and thanks for tuning in on Tuesday morning where I did my 15th episode of the Bobzee show. I do have a kind of schedule. I'm actually a couple of hours earlier. I've been doing Thursday night live streams for a while now, and normally do them not until 8:30, 9 o'clock. I've tried it a little bit earlier tonight in the hope that anyone, because when I used to just do Sunday at 10 o'clock, quite a lot of people would say, Bobby, it's just too late, particularly if you're in the UK. And so, yeah, the intention of doing a Tuesday morning one and a Thursday evening one is that anyone who isn't available later in the evening can hopefully tune in. I'll just bring up yeah, I am also planning to hopefully make some kind of schedule for these streams, in that the topics we touch on each episode. For the last few Bobzee hours we've been looking at liars and deceivers and how to spot lies. Tuesday mornings, although they're not every week guaranteed, we have been looking at, well, the last one we looked at demonic doubles, celebrity doubles, actors who, for all intents and purposes, could be played by more than one person. Characters and actors, of course. Whereas Sunday night is much more unscheduled. I mean, we go on for like an hour and a half, and I do have subjects that I wouldn't normally, and I invite you guys to contribute suggestions. Hello to Think Mirror. I think that's the first time I've seen your name in the chat, so thanks for joining us. If you are tuning in for the first time, I hope you enjoy the stream. Yeah, we as I said in the intro, we take away any trust that mainstream media might have for some reason been given, and look at these stories. Firstly, in what I've heard it suggested is their language. They talk in symbols, they talk in numbers, numerology, and see how often the same numbers come up. And as is regular on a Thursday, we also look for deception, how to spot fibs. Last week I brought up where were we? Let's see if I got the right text up. No, I haven't. Here we go. Signs of a lie. I'm just going to rewrite this, because this particular list of items to look for is specific to reading letters, reading emails. This was how to catch someone if they're lying in text. Whereas, while we are looking at that as well, and a lot of the same rules do apply for face-to-face deception, I think some of these could be rewritten. So let me just change one or two of them, or at least add to them. Qualifying statements, as to be honest, there's certainly something we're going to look at in tonight's subjects. One of which, Kate Garraway. I've made videos about her in the past, and she is someone that Yeah, I've called out the old Derek Draper and Kate Garraway story, and by all accounts, they appear in a newspaper article that just happens to promote Elton John's latest tour that he's doing. That's another conclusion I come to quite a lot in these live streams, is that these news articles are very much they're very much just end up being adverts. They're either promoting a GoFundMe, or they're promoting a new book that's coming out by one of the royals. Everything turns into an advert. We've also been looking at the dead internet, the idea of the dead internet, where the idea is that the majority of content being produced and comments that we see is just completely fake. And that's something I can certainly agree with. Right, changes in tense. I think we're going to change that to say, let me see, uncharacteristic speech can detect a lie. Well, these people that we're going to be looking at, we don't particularly know their patterns of speech, other than when they've got a camera in front of them. So yeah, we're going to look out for them omitting pronouns, making non-committal expressions like pretty sure, must have happened, changes in the tense, and uncharacteristic speech. Right, there is also, we can look for covering the mouth. Now we have to bear in mind that some of these people are just they are people just paid to read a script, like the guy who, during the Grenfell Tower incident, he was laughing at the ridiculousness of the story he had to read about people throwing babies out of windows. So so that's what we're going to be looking at this evening. As I said, I do invite suggestions. We are going to go on for an hour tonight, so it's certainly we would have time to look at other stories that I've not planned to cover. Greetings to Nathan Oakley. Hello, great to see you on the chat, my friend. Someone that always gets a mention at the end of my streams, because without Nathan, he's certainly made this live streaming a lot better. I don't think it would be half the stream without his support, so thank you. So if you think it's bad now, imagine how bad it is without without the assistance. Right, we're looking at Kate Garraway. Apparently she has expressed, story came yesterday about 10 a.m. in the morning. Kate Garraway has expressed her gratitude to Sir Elton John after he invited the presenter and her family to attend a concert. We're going to take this story on face value. We're not going to say it's all crap, it's all rubbish. We're going to believe it. Even taking that approach, let's see what we come up with. Yeah, Elton John invites a TV personality. Think of the amount of people that would kill to see Elton John, but just can't afford it. And who does Elton John decide to gift tickets to? This celebrity couple. Not least because if he donated it to a less well-known couple with maybe unwell members of the family, it wouldn't get half the attention. Perhaps he does do it, and if he does, well, it doesn't get any attention in the press, so I guess he's decided to give it to the Kate Garraway wearing her orange. Of course, as I said, new numbers do come up in these stories. Draper being a 22 in Chaldean. As I said, yeah, these people speak in their own language, it would seem. Right, apparently, yeah, they called the... Let me see. Draper, 55, get their numbers in, is believed to be one of the UK's worst affected survivors of COVID. How they can guarantee... has anyone seen the test that he took to confirm it was definitely COVID-19 that made Derek as bad as he is? Because... Just imagine if they'd misdiagnosed this guy. And the fact that because Kate Garraway was a TV personality and it would make great news if we could hear about her husband contracting it. What if he'd had a stroke or something, and they just said, "Oh, can we just say it's COVID? Yeah, let's do it. No one cares about any other story if it's not related to that. We don't care at the time." So, who knows? Right, yeah, the worst affected survivor, the former spin doctor, is a huge fan of the Rocket Man. So he was a politician. This guy mingled with politicians and rubbed shoulders with them. Yeah, he's a huge fan of Rocket Man. And the presenter Garraway used to play his music while he was in a hospital coma. We've heard Kate come on TV and spend half an hour talking about her husband being in a coma and all the wonderful and crazy adventures they'd had with their children growing their own vegetables. It's just made for TV bullcrap. And right, in addition to inviting them to the show at the O2 along with their children, Elton also dedicated his song Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me, who he hailed as inspirational. I would love to see footage of this. I'm sure it's out there. Reflecting the experience to Smooth Radio, Garraway admitted it was a bit touch and go. Right, this guy's seriously ill and she's dragging him off to a concert. She said, right up to the last minute, I wasn't sure if it would be possible to get Derek there, so the guy's seriously ill. It took weeks of planning, and just days before it looked like he would be too sick to attend. Even on the journey there, he seemed so weak. This guy's dying in front of her. All she wants to do is take him to see Elton John. How selfish can you get? But as soon as we get into the stadium and Elton went on stage, he started weeping tears of joy. Are you sure they're tears of joy or tears of misery? He squeezed my hand so tightly and refused to wear ear defenders for an hour so we could hear the music. At one point, it all got too much for Draper, who had to take a breather, so he had to leave the concert. And at one point, it seemed like it might all be too much for him, and he started shaking. Even when he's shaking, do you think Kate takes him home? Nope. Not a bit of it. She kept going. His nurses and I took him outside to have a moment to stretch and relax in the dark. After a while, I asked him if it was time to go, and he said, no, I want to go back. So we gave him ear defenders to reduce the stimulation. I thought she said he wouldn't wear them. Oh, for an hour anyway. Imagine that, you're so ill, you have to put ear defenders on to go to concerts. How miserable. It must have been fate, as at that exact moment, Elton suddenly dedicated Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me back to Derek and his journey. We were all in tears, even the nurses. It was completely unexpected. I don't believe it was unexpected, or else would she really have taken him? People around us were so lovely and they clapped, and it was an extraordinary moment that we'll treasure forever, and Elton made it possible. I think that might be as far as we go with this story. Because things have progressed. I just want to thank Nathan for reminding people to share the show in the chat, actually. Yeah, that is always appreciated if you want to hit the share button. Think Mirror, who confirms it's their first live stream. Well, hope you're back for a second one. Says there was a video a while back where they transmitted info regarding the sale of uranium. It was an award show, I believe, of Mario Lopez. Okay. Yeah, okay, that will maybe look at that one before we finish if we have time. If not, I take requests on my Sunday night stream, which is when I'll be back. Apparently Derek has been stuck at home for so long, so for him to experience that joy and be part of so many people's evening was magical. Today's of course he's exhausted and he's back in back in treatment at hospital. Yeah. Derek rushed back to hospital. Well, not exactly. He was going back anyway. So, Derek going back in for his appointment is certainly not him being rushed. Do we have video? Surely not. We might watch this in a sec. Yeah, and then this is just another opportunity to promote not only Derek and his terrible illness. They've actually made programs about the plight of Kate and Derek, in which their children were more than happy to candidly talk about their dad and how ill he is. Do you know what I think is actually, in my opinion, would have been much more likely than a seriously ill person being forced to go to an Elton John concert? They would have just sent a double in. They would have set up a lookalike. Are we going to see any footage of Derek at the concert? Let's have a look. I don't really want to listen to her talk, but 40 seconds, let's see.
Yeah, amazing. And he's been so kind since concert, 3 hours.
Oh, I think that was a glimpse of him at the concert. But we're not going to see that bit. Yeah, it's only a 2-second glimpse. I just want to make sure you are hearing the audio. Hang on 1 second. Alright, I hope you are. You should be. Let me just check that, actually.
3 hours of watching a living legend perform.
You must have been in a floods of tears, all of you.
All of us.
The girls.
And Derek's crying, Billy, Darcy were crying. It was amazing. Yeah, amazing. And he's been so kind since, and phenomenal.
Get those hand symbols in. Make of this what you will. This was at 6:07 in the morning, following her being at Elton John's concert. Wow. These people just don't stop.
Phenomenal. Yeah,
Wow.
and they actually got to meet. We didn't think that we'd be able to connect them up, but he was brilliant and rushed off stage just as we were trying to get Derek out. And and Derek and Elton met, and both of them were in tears. We all were, and his kids as well. It was unbelievable.
Just watching
anyway,
that.
having not spoken.
Okay, we're not going to see any footage of Derek at the concert, which is unfortunate. Well, maybe have a quick look for it. Anyway, the big story is Derek was rushed back to hospital, but he was due to go back in anyway, I believe. Derek Draper, Elton John. Someone must have filmed it and put it up. I think that's just going to be more stills. Right. Thanks for confirming. The sound is good. Is it just going to be that same story again? Oh no, we're going to get a couple more minutes. Right, I probably have to mute it. I don't know if I have to mute it. I probably will mute it just on copyright ground, just for the sake of not receiving a strike. We'll see. Oh, not hearing anything. That is odd. For some reason, we're not getting audio. Weird. Let me just check 1 minute. Yeah, audio's still working. Perhaps I'm doing... Not sure why, but anyway, we're not even seeing Derek, so I will play it through in a minute. I wanted to see Derek in the crowd. We'll just have to read the subtitles. That's actually annoying me. Why can't we hear it? Hang on 1 second. Sorry, well... Yeah, audio's working fine except for that one video. Okay, Will... You know... I'm not going to do something as vile as predict the passing of anyone, but I wouldn't be surprised if that story will play out at some time. And who knows? Okay, doesn't Elton John look, you know, to say he looked peculiar would be an understatement. Again, Elton John's one of these people, anyone, stick that wig, those glasses, those ears, that sort of, they call it a button nose, I don't know what you call it, but it's, yeah, anyone could get up on stage and perform like Elton John. He is one of these very, yeah, made up people, you know, even by his own standards. A bit like Timmy Mallet, that's who his style reminds me of. speaking, my view is that a lot of these big names are just played by more than one person. Derek Draper, they could probably dress plenty.
Rapid, unscheduled disassembly.
Where's that audio coming from? Has it finally started working? Oh, hang on, I see what happened. Something about a space flight. SpaceX rocket explodes shortly after liftoff. Wow, big news, breaking news. When was this reported? Unfortunate. Although I noticed the audio does work on this video. Huh, no it doesn't.
And Starship spacecraft would continue for about an hour at an altitude between 150 to 250 kilometers above the Earth, and it didn't happen. There was no separation, and what you saw in the pictures was the combined Starship system falling back down to Earth, rotating in midair, and then there was an explosion. But this was a success for SpaceX, and from their point of view, this launch really exceeded
It's a success because they got their rubbish on the TV. We got to hear about it. So whatever happens, whatever the outcome, it was a success, no doubt.
Expectations.
I just have to say, next time I break something or have an accident, I'm absolutely calling it a rapid...
Oh, the audio is nominal. My apologies. Jeff says if you're that ill, they'd never let you out of hospital. Well, no, I doubt they would even let you into a I doubt they'd even let you into a concert to see somebody in such a state. I would have thought they'd have to have... I know they said it took months of planning, but yeah, TV production all the way. I don't want to get too off track. Well, as I was going to go on to the subject of celebrities, I'll tell you what, we'll come back to SpaceX. I'm not gonna talking about more than one person playing roles. Tonight's stream is actually called Painful Truth, and I do have a reason for that. Did I call it Painful Truth? I certainly meant to. Yeah, that was the name of the stream. And one story I came across, as I said, Tuesday we looked at one name from is Demonic Doubles, acting short. Is there a shortage of actors? And that's why all these characters look to me like they're played by the same person half the time. The painful truth of the matter is Daniela Westbrook. We've been told her nose fell off when she took way too much cocaine. Do you know what I think it is? I think she is a botched attempt at... Oh, who knows? Maybe her nose is all prosthetics as well. But is this what people have to go through in order to get a part on TV? Look how horrific her ears are. There's no way, no matter how much drugs this woman took, there is no way her ear will look like that. What is going on there? It is the ear of Yoda. It does seem to keep coming up everywhere in these weird stories. Pointy ears. I've started seeing them. Elon Musk's partner, on the subject of SpaceX, has them. And yeah, what these people must have to put them through to be on television. Yeah. Is this what they all look... This is... I do wonder, is it what they all look like underneath when they take off the... yeah, right, I'm going to have a look at the chat a minute. Greetings to Into the Break, thanks for tuning in. And Nathan asked, how old is Elton John? I would say he would have to be in his 70s, easily 70s, but he just looks... Let's have a look. How old is Elton? Do I even need to write the word John? Right. Why can I not see it? Oh, he's 76 years old. He was born in March 1947. Good old Elton. And he is compared by Bing with Elvis Presley, Ozzy Osbourne, Eminem, Tupac, Snoop Dogg, Paul McCartney. He's one of them. He's one of these people who, if you look closely at them, at their ears, at their features, a lot of them are not short of bizarre. Look at this guy's ears. Wow. I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe it's just one of those situations where perhaps that's a perfectly normal looking ear. You would have to judge for yourself on that one. Midnight says looks like a cauliflower ear. Well, exactly. The thing with Daniela Westbrook, if you're not familiar with her, I'm sure you are, Midnight. I imagine you probably remember her, but she was supposedly ravaged by drugs. Now, no matter what. Nathan's correct actually. Parsnips, it is almost the shape of a parsnip. These weird ears come up everywhere. Again, Elon Musk. If you watch every stream, you'll have seen this image over and over again, so I do apologise, but it was just the first place I started noticing it. Because, they're freak shows, so we won't keep them on our screen too long. I think Mirror says Elton must be getting on for 100. Well, some of these celebrities almost seem absolutely like they don't age at all. He's kind of got weird pointy ears as well when you look at them. And of course the... something, not definitely wearing a wig. I don't think anyone would doubt. Nothing strange about a 76-year-old wearing wigs, especially on TV. But I would predict definitely could easily be played by more than one character. Elton John. Image rights are everything. Nathan says Daniela had a deviated septum from too much cocaine. I will say, I don't know too many people that use cocaine, but I've never in my life, unless they've just had it well hidden, seen anyone with a deviated septum. As in, who knows? I don't know. Maybe they're out there. Perhaps they keep it well hidden. I want to know what she had done to her ears, though. In this image, she doesn't even seem to have them. One of them is parsnip ear. The other is completely missing. Who knows what's going on? Is Daniela a botched actor? I don't know. But what an incredible transformation she made, if this is how she looks now. Nathan only uses crack, so you wouldn't know. Yeah, but I would say, cocaine users are everywhere, I imagine. It's, massively popular, just like alcohol or... But yeah, anyway. They probably are right on our doorsteps. Right, plastic surgeons wanted $500,000 to change my face, so I thought I was never going to get it done. It was only because I went to intensive care before. I couldn't breathe because I had a cold. There was a build-up of fluid after. Nasty story. Sorry to inflict this one on you. We normally end up looking at ears in one situation or another. Into the Break says reality hits home right in the kisser. Yeah, perhaps it does happen. Yeah, she's not actually that far from looking like what a lot of people on soaps do look like. Crazy folk that they are. Right, I have been hearing... Right, we can either go back to the story of Elon Musk, or we can go on to another one about cheerleaders. Well, yeah, it's cheerleader related. If you keep up with the mainstream news, you'll probably know what I'm on about. I'm sure this story would have been forced into most people's consciousnesses. Let me see. This is the Telegraph being stingy and not letting me read their article. I know there is a way of doing it, but... Is it... What do you put? Archive.io, I think. Archive.io/. Does that do it? Okay, that's not the right one. Fortunately, there are plenty other news outlets that are covering this one. People are going mad in the United States of America with their gun, and we're hearing about all these shootings at the moment. Right, I did see a mention or two about outer space being fake. You can't have a gas pressure without a container, and if the sky was a vacuum, the gas we breathe would fill the space. I suppose that does do away with the idea. Where was that video? But do these people even go into outer space? I mean, in this video, they clearly... I mean, obviously not, but if you take Nathan's logic, which I totally agree with, I guess these people don't go into outer space.
Unscheduled disassembly, absolutely using that myself. Ed.
I'm sure we've all seen the video where I think it's a weather balloon is sent up, and you hear it, you know, the wind rushing past it, and then all of a sudden it stops. And I think after a short while the balloons burst. What do you think these are? Either A, CGI, B, like a tornado being shot up, or...
Can you get into this idea that this was still a success?
Yeah.
What did they learn? What's important here that they were able to achieve?
So
they now know how to blow up a space rocket, or at least by using clever editing tools. The space and like space travel, rockets lifting off, it just reminds me so much of... Where was it? If you look for nuclear weapons, it's all the same imagery. It's explosions, it's takeoffs, it's rockets, it's, you know, it's exactly the same thing. Is that also not on the level?
Like in the first...
I remember hearing about... Yeah, sorry if this audio is very quiet. I'm not sure if there's much I can do about it. You might just have to turn your sound up for a minute. Into the Breck says, the richest man in the world thinks they're a rocket scientist. Is Elon Musk the richest man in the world? I know he was, but who knows, perhaps he is.
Instance, all they wanted to do was clear the launch tower for a number of reasons. You know, Elon Musk really deliberately set the bar low here in terms of...
That's absolutely ridiculous. Is it SpaceX that are involved in sending people to orbit the moon, supposedly, in the next month? And here they are, just trying to clear the launch pad, or whatever he said. The launch... What was it?
Deliberately set the bar low
that they were able to achieve.
So, like in the first instance, all they wanted to do was clear the launch tower for a
the
number of reasons.
The launch tower. They wanted to go no higher than the launch tower. How pathetic, you know, how basic are these testing anyway.
You know, Elon Musk really deliberately set the bar low here in terms of what they were trying to achieve, because they've never tried to launch the Super Heavy booster before, combined with the Starship spacecraft. The reason that clearing the tower is important is, say it had exploded and not launched successfully, that could have had a really big impact on the launch pad itself, caused damage, which is expensive, but it also delayed.
We want to see images. We don't want to hear this guy utter on about. We want to see big flashing explosions.
Helps with the cadence.
We don't want to see Twitter. We don't want to see you.
Gives you some of the commitment development.
We want to see your. This is a visuals program.
Ed, they said the Starship experienced rapid, unscheduled disassembly. What does that mean?
It means that at an altitude.
What do you think? A fireworks display? Because I guess people do see these getting taken off. I would say tornadoes, or not tornadoes, that's the type of weather. Torpedoes, sorry. I would say some sort of torpedo, if anything. Let's see. Or is torpedoes underwater? What am I on about? Missiles of some sort. Maybe torpedoes are underwater. Again, very similar. The same phallic symbol. I guess just very aerodynamic. Ideal for going into water. I will put this out there. Isn't it said in the Holy Scriptures that there's water above? If anything, are these things being sent up to penetrate water? Would that be, you know, the higher you get, yeah, are there waters above? As I was saying about that weather balloon that takes off, and yeah, very famous video. I think it has a countdown to where it hits the dome. Well, that's the title of the video. And people suggest it sounds like it's going into water or something. I think it's just, who knows what it is. You'd have to watch that one yourself, but are they trying to penetrate a water barrier with their who knows? Oh no, that's again, that isn't a space rocket. Actually, that would be an interesting game, like guess what's going on in the picture. Is it A, a torpedo taking off, B, a missile launch, or is it SpaceX? Because they all look pretty similar to me. Right, who would Nathan shag for 3 pints? Oh, of course, Daniela Westbrook. That's unfortunate. But right. Midnight says she only has one nostril. Yeah, one giant nostril. That's... If you guys have ever met anyone like that, I'd be interested to know. Obviously, I don't want you to give me their names or anything, but I'm just curious if you ever met anyone with a singular nose just like that. Jeff says it was a successful launch. Absolutely right. Greetings to West Coast Guy. Probably CGI. Completely agree. And Musk being an actor. Again, yeah, these whole... Musk is certainly... I look at him sometimes. I tell you what, one of the most graphically produced people I've ever seen is the owner of Facebook, Mark Zuckerberg. But Elon Musk also, while he doesn't look as fake, as computer generated as Zuckerberg, he does have this kind of look about him where he could just be a talking, you know, computer program. Who knows? But yeah, I do agree. He is an actor. Into the Break says on Weed birthday they blast a firework into the Glober prospects, and a setback just like a real part of Interstellar. Okay. Midnight, you're blasting a firework. Do you know what? I used to know a guy and I think he did it once a week maybe. He would buy a helium balloon and walk into this field and just let it go and stand there and watch it take off. I will make the admission, I think he was considered to have learning difficulties, or I guess that's how some people might label the guy. I say he just really enjoys watching helium balloons disappear into the sky, and actually his weekly let-offs would gain, probably a few people like in the area would just watch the balloon with him. Gotta say, I probably spent about at least 5 minutes of my life watching that balloon disappear out of sight. Right, just having a read. Have we seen Elon with his top off, asks Midnight. I don't think I have, no. I might have done, actually. If you want us to have a look at Elon Musk with his top off, then yeah, let us know. I don't want to inflict something on you, or if you really don't want to see it, let me know in the chat, because otherwise, yeah, we'll be looking for topless Elon Musk, which it is suggested is, come on, topless Elon Musk. Wow, is this something else to penetrate water? Sharing clips of unwitting customers recorded by cars. Why have they got this sort of, I don't know what that's supposed to be. Clearly a CGI image, I would guess. Right. A woman look about him. Do you know what? If someone were to tell me that he is trying to disguise the female anatomy, then I would say, yeah, I'm with you. Cannot disagree with that one. It looks to me actually like a kind of male back, although he's got some scarring on it by the look of it. Has this guy had surgery, back implants? I wouldn't be at all surprised to hear such a procedure exists where they can put items into your body to make you, because women have more of a curve in their back, of course. Their spine curves more, and their it's much more pronounced in the back, where I think men have a much more, they drop here, as it were. Who knows? I get where you're coming from. It's also not the proportions you would kind of expect. Of course, yeah. As I say, could be different people wearing the outfit, so who knows? What do we think is... I'm not going to look at her again, because for people so disturbing, I do spend a lot of time looking at their picture. Here's one of Grimes. This is a demonic entity, I'm convinced. As I've asked the question before, if demonic entities were being put in front of us on TV, what would they look like? What would you expect them to look like? I would say this. This is what I would imagine like a Hollywood film would portray a demon as. What's that film? Not Devil's Advocate. Yeah, I think it's called Devil's Advocate, and they have all these demonic entities following this solicitor. If you haven't watched it, she gives me that look. She, although supposedly has had a baby, we have been onto her Instagram account in the past. Again, I won't inflict it on you, but we have looked at her Instagram account. You may think on some of these, she must have had more than one partner then. Wow, is that Elon Musk without his hair? Or is that just someone dressing themselves up to look like Elon Musk? Who knows? They've done very well. Good job of it, whatever they've done. What is an Elon Musk costume? I'm kind of interested to know. Does it give you all the facial... Who knows? Whatever. Let's not go there. Why, what is... Again, remember we were talking about... Is that scarring or just a henna tattoo? I bet this is probably to cover up... Hang on. I imagine this is probably to cover up scarring of treatment that they've had to have in order to, as I said, painful truths. That's what we're talking about tonight. Have these people had to go through hell to get these parts on the world stage, as it were? Have they had to have their ears removed and instead stuck on the top some ridiculously fake plastic thing, so that so anyone that sees, you know, if you know what Elton John looks like, you look for these identifiers. Again, what would a demonic entity look like if it were to appear on the screen in front of us? Who knows? Right, just having a look at the chat. Oh, Midnight Scribbler's telling us what he means by his fireworks. Well, have fun. I hope you enjoy it. Right, and Into the Break says Grimes is a harlot. Her book reveals her faith. Yeah, I would not be at all surprised to find out that, what's her name? Grimes is into right, I don't know where that, right, is into witchcraft, and you just have to look at some of the content she puts out. And again, the first time I saw about these ears, I saw it on her. It was a video by, is it Taboo Conspiracy or the Founded Earth Brothers? I can't remember. One of these channels put out a video about the demonic creature that has the pointed ears, and they all seem to have them. Yeah, no way those. No way they're real, in my opinion. Greatness to Sammy Miles. Thanks for tuning in tonight. Another name I've seen for the first time tonight. So if it is your first Bobby Vines live stream, I hope you're enjoying it. We are actually going to be winding down in the next 10 minutes. Before we do, we haven't done much live spotting tonight, but we haven't really seen many interviews. Apparently we might have some... Yeah, before we finish, I do just want to look at, of course, shootings. A very popular news story. Are some of them just a media production? Right, a role model cheerleader born with only one lung has had part of her spleen removed after being shot in another apparent case of someone being attacked for being in the wrong place in the UK. Baylor 9. Do you think that's something worth looking at on numerology? Vowel or consonant, I don't know. 34 and a 22 is Baylor 9. In numerology, again, they get their numbers in. I wouldn't be surprised if we see orange. Again, these images are always produced by Associated Press, AP, or there's another one actually, PA as well, which I don't know what that stands for, but it just seems to be the companies that produce and give people, like, I'm not sure who put this, like Sky News, they do buy pre-packaged news articles off of companies. Is this just another one? Payton, Washington. Let's put that number in just out of curiosity. Payton is 26 and 28. Payton, Washington is a 66 and a 77 in numerology. So as always, they get their numbers in. He was shot. Oh, this might be another story. Yeah, apparently loads of these stories coming out at the moment. Heather Roth was gunned down in a supermarket because she got in the wrong car. I'm not sure when it happened, but how likely is it that in a case of a shooting, the press are going to give worldwide coverage to who they believe the attacker is? And again, AP managed to get images of him first. What are the police doing? Selling off pictures of like gunmen to the press? Very small nose, by the way. This is the polar opposite to Daniela Westbrook in that this man's septum is way too big. I think we'll just take a close-up. What this person's face reminded me of when I first saw it was the website thispersondoesnotexist.com. Yeah, some crazy things you can do with CGI nowadays. Images like this are nothing. Piece of piece, you could say. The high school students were on their way home from practice. So, right, I'm going to have to start rounding up. So my takeaway from it, from the stories, again, we've been able to find examples of the numbers getting in, coding their stories with 22s, 33s, dual numbers, 66s, 77s, Derek Draper, DDs. These are the giveaways, as much as you might want to look at a person and saying, are they lying? Can I tell if this person's not on the level? Like when Kate Garraway proudly talks about nearly driving her husband, into another breakdown because she had to take him to see Elton John. Is she telling the truth? Or is it all just a pile of crud? Right, as we start to wind down, I'm going to thank the West Coast guy into the break. KG, good to see you in the chat tonight. Sammy, Midnight Scribbler, Jeff Gashead, Nathan Oakley, Think Mirror, and I think that was everyone in the live chat tonight. If you want to say hello before we go, then yeah, you've got about 2 minutes left to do that in, and I will shout your name out. The photos look like mugshots, but they're not. Yeah, they're a good effort at mugshots. You can now. I saw it earlier. Where was it? I'll go to my favourites. I know this is like nothing new, but just how easily you can fake images. You can now just go to a website and say a man with one nostril, well, with two noses, and they'll make any picture you want. I'm not sure how good these are going to be. That this is a free, image CGI thing. Do we get anyone with two noses? There we go, yeah. This is a completely made up picture, and would you put it past the press to say man discovered with... Hang on. You can even tell it to do particular types of... These are absolutely freaky images, but watercolour, I think you can ask it. And it will give you like paintings of them. It does take a bit of time to load. Right, we are going to start calling it a night there. We'll just see a watercolour picture of a man with two noses. This is on a website called Bing Image Producer. I will put a link to it in tonight's stream. Yeah, wacky stuff. Out of that. Okay. Yeah, before we go, I would like to thank all the people in the live chat, and I also want to show my thanks and appreciation to Midnight Scribbler, Linda Mack for supporting me over on Patreon. Also thanks to Skeptic936 and Nathan Oakley for their support and assistance. Yeah, and let you know there's links in the description as well as a code on screen. If you want to show your appreciation, another option is just by hitting the thumbs up button, and if you want to whack subscribe and sharing is all much appreciated if you think this show is deserving of such a honor. Okay, let's see, we're gonna wrap up then, and I will be back Sunday evening. And let's see, let's get our schedule up if I can. I'll lose our... Yep, Sunday 10 PM. That is a pretty much guaranteed time. I've been doing Sunday 10 PM live streams, for ages, pretty regularly. Tuesday is another time I try and stream, but again, hit and miss. I don't manage every Tuesday morning, but Thursday evenings again are becoming a more regular thing. So I do hope you can make it back Sunday evening, and thanks to everyone for tuning in. I just want to have a look at the chat before we go. Yeah, okay. Right, I'll be back Sunday. Have a wonderful weekend, and of course I can't leave without highly recommending people observe the Sabbath day, the day of just a day dedicated to God, where you don't go out and don't buy, don't sell, don't work. That is my recommendation. I often recommend it, but if anyone, I know it's been asked that I give a bit more detail into that, so perhaps I will try to just have a day of rest where you take it easy. Make it Sunday and Friday to Sunday and Saturday. A wonderful way to structure your week. Right, with that, I am... hope to see you Sunday. Right, good night, and over and out.